And Bonds hits one high. Hits it deep. It is out of here. This is caught. Diggs. Sideline. Touchdown. Unbelievable. Bryant for the win. Bang. Watch out. He's got getting away from the top speed.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another SGN video where it's all sim all the time. Today's video, we are talking about the one setting you need to change in 2K24. Now, some of you might be thinking, hey man, you just dropped a video on this, and that is true, and that does work. However, I am a perfectionist and I'm always looking for ways to make things better, and in doing so stumbled across something that I've never thought of before. I haven't seen anybody else talk about this either, and it's actually 100 times better than what I was telling you guys to do in the previous change this setting in 2K video. And we're going to go over that right now. But hey man, if you are new to the channel, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, especially if you appreciate this content. Now, what we're going to talk about right here, you do not need to use this with any specific roster. You can use it with whoever you want. Now, I do recommend, if you are wanting to start over or get involved with something, I have that My NBA Reborn scenario, which has my tendency edits, the My NBA sliders, everything you could think, simulation sliders, contract sliders, everything you could want. It's all there with a start today. That's going to be starting with the NBA Finals. So you're really ready to roll. It has a draft class with all those edits ready to roll for you as well. Now, I do want to point out that I am building a new slider set for this edit because it does require a couple changes. So if you guys decide to use this with another person's roster, which is perfectly fine, and if you want to use this with someone else's sliders, fine. I don't know why you do that, but fine. Just know you're going to need a couple changes, and we'll talk about some of those. So let's go ahead and dive into this new discovery. And this is something, guys, you don't want to do all at once. You're going to want to do it basically before you play the team, and you'll see why here in a second. So before we talked about, and we're just going to hop into the quick edit, we talked about editing players' play types. And we talked about how we couldn't have players have isolation pick and roll as a number 1 and number 2, which does help. However, it doesn't, I'm not happy with it. It's better, but it's not as good as it should be. And we want things to be as good as they should be as possible. And so we're going to go over here, and what's really cool is you can go into the roster, and instead of going to the taking control of another team, you don't have to take control of the team you're about to play to do this. You just go into roster editor. So the other way, this is actually faster than the other way. But we are going to be editing play types again, but this time it's going to be totally different. We're also going to be looking at the play initiator, because you will go through and notice that part of the reason you see the CPU running the same thing over and over and over again, there's two reasons. Number one is the play types, which we'll talk about in a second. Number two is play initiator. A lot of times they don't really have a lot of players for the play initiator, which is frustrating. Anthony Davis, in my opinion, is 100% a play initiator. He gets the ball at the top of the key. They run the ball through him. You could go ahead and turn this on. I don't see like I don't think there'd be any negativity to this. In fact, when I do play the Lakers, I'm turning this on. But then you go through and look at other players who have play initiator, and just make sure that every player that should does. So really the only person I'd change here I would give it to Anthony Davis. Of course, that's user preference, but just go through and double check the play initiator. There are some teams that just really don't have good play initiators set for their roster. Next, let's go ahead and take a look here at these play types. So we're just going to go, this is in no particular order. As you can see, there's no order to how these players are listed here. But let's just look at everyone's number 1 play type. Shout out to Mike Stauffer for giving us such an in-depth play distribution of assigned plays in 2K. I'm really impressed with your work. Pick and roll, post up low. That makes sense. It's Anthony Davis. Pick and roll, post up low. Pick and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll. Pick and roll, 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 cutter, pick and roll, man. So you can see of every single player on the roster, right? One 3 players, their primary play type is not involving some sort of pick and roll. And then when we go over to their second play type, look at this. Isolation, 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 isolation. Handoff receiver, handoff receiver, handoff receiver, isolation. So when you look at the number 1 and number 2 play types for every single player, now you think about it. 4 plays are assigned each play type. So if they call, I mean, how many plays are in a playbook, right? So you think about it, they're not getting into play 3 and play 4 very often, right? Because you have 4 different plays you can call for pick and roll ball handoff for Spencer Dinwiddie, and you have 4 ones that you can call. LeBron James will get the same plays, right? Pick and roll wing will be a little bit different, but then you go over here and now there's isolation, which isn't anything, right? It's just, it's really, it's ridiculous, man, how everyone has the same stuff. Hardly any player has mid-range set for a play. Hardly anyone has three-point. Hardly any players have guard post up or post up high. It's ridiculous. All the handoff passers hardly in here. It's typically pick and roll, isolation, and handoff receiver. Those are the main 3 you're going to see on every single player. And splitting things up the way we did before improves it, but it's not as good as I'm about to show you right now, which does take a couple minutes to do, but it's really worth it. So, and once you do it, you really don't have to do it again. You can check it at the every single season as you advance. You can check this. Now, I do want to let you guys know before I show you exactly what we're doing. Number 1, this is for user versus CPU only. In the Discord, and where we've been testing this. So if you're not in the Discord, join up because you could have been testing this with us. Someone checked CPU versus CPU for whatever reason does not work. I don't understand why it doesn't work CPU versus CPU, but it doesn't. Also, there's no reason to do this to your team. It'll make life more difficult for you. So only do this to the CPU team. All right. So what we're doing, we're changing everybody to none. So every single person's play type is going to be none. So what happens when you change every single person's play type to none? Well, a couple things happen. Number 1, you get amazing ball distribution. Like really good ball distribution. Gone are the days of guys, the same 1 or 2 guys taking 30 shots a game. It's gone. Number 2, when you're playing against guys, their assist totals are going up because of the ball movement. The ball movement is fantastic. I've never seen ball movement like this in NBA 2K. And I've been playing the game for a long time. I mean, 2K5 was my first 2K. So, I mean, I've been playing the game for 20 years. I've never seen CPU ball movement like this. It's absolutely fantastic. The other thing you're going to get is you're not really going to see the same plays ran over and over and over again. They might run the same play throughout the game, but it's so spread out you aren't really noticing it. So what you will now, they will run a lot more freelance depending on their coach's run plays frequency, which is where you're going to see how like different teams be a little bit more dynamic. Now, of course, we had run plays frequency before, so CPU teams would run their freelance at the same rate as they are now. You're just seeing more diversity in the play calls because it's set to none versus before they're either running the freelance, which you can start to tell when they're running freelance, or you can tell when they're running a specific play for a specific person because you've seen it 3 or 4 times already, and they'll just run it over and over again. So we're getting way better play calls from the CPU for multiple of different players. It really starts to like let their tendencies shine more, in my opinion. Now, YouTube members, of course, get access to everything that's in beta testing. This has been in beta testing for a while, but it's been open to the YouTube members where I told them, hey, we got to build a new slider, a lot of new sliders for this because it changes so much. But all the feedback has been positive. There hasn't been a single person in the Discord or in the YouTube member community tab that's been testing this who has came in and said anything negative like I preferred how it was before. all the feedback has been like, I'm not used to seeing the CPU do this. This is crazy. The ball movement's insane. The only negative feedback they had was, I'm seeing too much of this, I'm seeing too much of that, which is where we were building the sliders. So, not to keep rambling on in this video, but just showing you guys how this is done and kind of just covering some talking points for you, because I'm going to get a lot of questions on this, and I try to cover as many of potential questions as I can in the video just to reduce the amount of redundant questions that I'm going to get. So that being said, we did test ACE must be on for this. Again, if you use my MindBase scenario, you use my sliders, like that's all gonna be taken care of for you. But if you want to pair this up with someone else's content, and there's other people that make good sliders and rosters out there. Celtic LG has a great project that I've used in the past, and I actually am thinking I'll get back to it next year, as well as he was able to fix the reason that I stopped using his custom roster. And there's other people that make great slider sets too. So if you want to use someone else's work, but you like this because of the situation we talked about, make sure you have ACE turned on, and make sure you implement a couple. Well, I don't know if I'm not going to talk about the sliders because that's kind of a my thing. But just know you're going to need to make some changes to the shot tendency sliders for the CPU. Specifically lowering 3-point substantially and increasing other things as well. But once you're done editing your players, just go ahead and save it. And now you're ready to play and fire up into a game. Guys, this changes everything. It's absolutely amazing. I have a ton of gameplay of this that I've been streaming on my channel. So if you want to check this out, if you aren't sure, go fire up some of those streams. And those were all testing streams too. Like, we're still fine-tuning in those. The slider set that's going to be released for this is going to have everything ready to roll, fine-tuned for you guys. But for now, guys, get started on this. Make this change. This is absolutely incredible. The gameplay's fresh. You'll see things you have never seen before, and you'll really make you fall in love with 2K24 all over again. But anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you for checking it out. Hope you enjoyed this content. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Otherwise, stay tuned to the next one. Peace.